Hey, my name is Justin Greenwald, and today I want to talk to you guys about the Zildgen Gen 16 bronze cymbals. If you guys remember, in my previous video, I talked about them because I had played the silver versions. This was a while ago, and I really liked them. I thought they felt great, and the sound was passable-ish. Well, my opinions on this have changed quite a bit. I had played those cymbals at a Sam Ash store, and this time I heard the bronze cymbals at a church. So I was hearing them from the audience perspective, not the player perspective. And I'll get to what I think about them in a minute, but I just want to go over what Gen 16 cymbals are for those of you who've never heard of them. A Zildgen Gen 16 cymbal is an acoustic cymbal that has a mic mounted underneath the bell. There's a whole line for hi-hat, crash, ride, splash, whatever. And then there are hundreds of holes drilled into the cymbal. They come in either silver or bronze. Bronze is newly added. They didn't have that before. So they look really nice. And the silver ones look nice too. And they feel really great to play because they're real cymbals, but they're at 25% of the volume. So no matter how hard you hit it, it's still really quiet. And this is really amazing when you first hit them because you're not expecting it. You're expecting that the harder you hit it, the louder you can get it, and it never gets loud. It's crazy. And that microphone that's underneath, I think there are two. The microphones that are underneath the bell transmit to a module. This is not a trigger, so you cannot connect this to a Roland module or your laptop and trigger other cymbal sounds. This module just changes the way the sound is. So you can change the pitch of the cymbal so it sounds bigger or smaller or darker or brighter. So you can play around with the sound a bit, but it's still got its core sound it has to have. And then you hook that module into like a headphone splitter so you can combine those sounds with the Roland sounds or the Yamaha sounds, what other drum set you're playing with, or acoustic. Okay, so back to the story. I had played them at a Sam Ash, so I'd known what it was like to play them, but now I was about to go to a church where it was a TD-15 Roland drum set, TD-15 KV, and they had mounted maybe a bunch, I don't know how many, but there were quite a few Yamaha cymbals. And I was really excited because I was finally being able to hear these from the audience perspective. I only heard it from the drummer perspective and some videos on YouTube, which you can never really go by anyway. And it was a disaster. It was terrible. I was like, Actually, I started cringing right away, but I was like, it's kind of doable. And then she started hitting the hi-hat, and the hi-hat was just terrible. It was awful. It was so high-pitched, and it was like hitting a ping ride that was really high-pitched. It was terrible. And the Roland cymbals were there too, but she didn't hit them. She only hit the Zildgen cymbals because they feel like real cymbals, because they are real cymbals. And it was just a disaster. I will put out a disclaimer that obviously the audio team did not edit the cymbal well enough in the module. And because I know this because I'd heard a demo video on YouTube where, the Zildgen team made them sound perfect. And by made them sound perfect, I mean they sounded as good as like a pair of Sabian B8s. Except, not quite as good as a Sabian B8s. So their potential is not even that to be a great cymbal. It's just to be a beginner cymbal sound. But in this setting where they bungled it, and it did not sound good at all. Now, I'm all for, people buying these new things and trying them out. I don't know how long they'd been using those cymbals. Maybe it was one of their first weeks and they were still getting the kinks out of the system. But I really do not like the sound. I would just rather hear just the Roland cymbal sounds from the module because I know those sound a lot better. I have a friend that has a TD-15 and his cymbal sounds are way better than what I heard that night at the church. And it was also sad because I was hearing these great toms, snare, and kick. Well, the toms weren't that great, but the snare and the kick sound were great. And then I heard these terrible cymbals. So, again, I can't really recommend these cymbals. However, they just released another pack of cymbals where you can buy the cymbals without the microphones inside. So it's just an acoustic cymbal with holes in it, so that's really quiet. That would be great for you acoustic drummers that want to play in clubs that are really small so that the volume goes down. it's a great opportunity for that. But as for the electronic cymbals, no. One other thing. Another thing that really turned me off these cymbals is the microphones underneath the bell of each cymbal. They light up every time you hit it. It's terrible. It was okay at the music store because the cymbals were silver and the lights were blue, so it went together, and it was a music store, so it didn't seem obnoxious. But bronze cymbals and multicolored lights look obnoxious together. The cymbals themselves are beautiful, but when you hit each cymbal and they start flashing and they start changing to a different color, they're not blinking, they're just gradually switching to another color. Still, it's terrible. If they could just get rid of those colors and do some better stuff in the module to make the cymbals sound better, then I would go for it. But my saddest thing about these is that they're not trigger based. They're microphone based. So you can't hook these up to your module and change the sound to whatever cymbal you want. These cymbals are just microphones running to a module where you can change the depth and the pitch of the sound. So in the end, I can't really recommend these cymbals. We're just going to have to wait and see if someone else comes up with the ultimate hybrid cymbal. Maybe like Peisty or Sabian will come out with a better hybrid cymbal. And I really hope they do because, yeah, I want this to work, but it just didn't work. I still love Zildgen the company. They just need to work on this concept. They can do it. They just need to do some work on it. Hey, if you want to get notifications for all these videos I'm making, click that subscribe button down below and check out my website, 65drums.com.